And to be able to use the radio, you just hit these buttons right here, and you can change it. So we know now this is 327, so I'll change this to 327. And then however you have your radios bound as your push talk, like on mine, so I use a Warthog throttle. You can use your radio 1 and radio 2 keys that you have bound in SRS to speak through these. Now, when you're changing the radio in the actual aircraft, so let me get it started up.
Actually, before you continue, how did you bring up that screen for the SRS, the mini screen you have right now?
Yep, hold on, I'll show you. Okay, so the client up, the button where my mouse is, toggle radio overlay. You just click on that, and this should pop up.
Copy, thank you.
And then to use it without minimizing DCS, you'll want to run DCS in windowed full screen. And with this, everything powered up. So on the COM tune button, like I said, you can only set the first radio with the UHF. Just hit it. We know it's 327 for now. And you hit this switch over here. You can see it switches 327. Like I said, that's to speak with the AI ATC. So if you're flying at night and you need the runway lights on, stuff like that, you'll use this radio to communicate through your comms menu. But for communicating with like ATC, a human ATC or human GCI, or other flights that are in the air, like when we're on 250 for the preset, which is preset 6, you have to change that in this window over here.
Copy. And I'll have to use that in order to switch to from Nellis control to center and range control.
Exactly.
Oh, okay.
You know what the top of this? How am I?
Have you watched the cockpit videos that I was talking about earlier?
No, just the 2 videos you posted.
Okay, well, that's what I was asking, one of those 2 videos. So one of the videos I talk about this low-speed ground idle. To be able to use that, which is what you'll use on the ground at any airfield, you have to be able to throw the throttles in beta mode. Let me turn off the APU first. Alright, so you'll see on the engine management screen, when I throw it in beta, you'll see under the 4 horsepower dials, it'll say beta. So you'll make sure you need to bind that, or at least understand the binding. After I hit that binding, I'll just nudge the throttles forward, and it'll go in beta mode. Now when they're in beta mode, you'll want to flip these 4 switches right here, and it should light up and say low. That means you're in low speed ground idle. It'll restrict how much power you're allowed to use on the ground, so you won't run off while taxiing.
Charging battery.
Like I showed the video, you got to bring the HUD down. And when you bring the HUD down, you can set the altimeter. Right now it's 209.75 in the mission, and you just rotate baro set dial to change that. Go ahead and start taxiing. I'll show you the spot where we load up cargo and mess with all that.
What's our call sign when we jump in as a Herc?
High roller. So depending on how many people are flying the Herc at the time, just check the flight plans. It could be high roller 1, high roller 2, etc. So if you spawn next to the C5, you'll want to come right and come towards the E3. And by this building over here, you see this white hangar. You want to look for these white hangars for any sort of rearming and cargo loading with the C-130. I'll show it to you again when we get closer.
What's this area called? I mean, when you make a taxi.
You can just call it cargo loading area or loading area.
Copy.
It doesn't have to be anything fancy. All right, out here, you'll make sure your ramp's down so whenever you're loading cargo, unloading cargo. Always make sure your ramp's down, or you can also set the parking brake as your preference. Set the parking brake, you gotta hold the toe brakes, pull this handle out, hold the handle, let go of the toe brakes, and then release the handle. And as long as the handle is still out, you should see parking brake set on your engine management screen. All right, so for cargo loading, there's going to be two ways you have to load cargo. One is the CTLD. So you're just going to go to your comms menu with me personally, it's a backslash key. You're going to go to F10 other, and you'll see F5 CTLD. You're going to have troop transport, depending on the mission. You have multiple different types of infantry to load. You can load standard troops, anti-air, anti-tank, mortar squad. Don't worry about JTAC. Just worry about F2 through F5. Those are the ones you want to focus on. The second one you'll be loading are either vehicles or fobs. It'll probably just be fob crates. I wouldn't worry about vehicles. So for here, on the main CTLD menu, you see vehicle/fob transport. F3 for there, or click on it. And then you'll see load/unload fob crate. When you're empty, you'll just click on that. I'll go through and show you the menu as well, what it says. The other thing you want to be aware of on CTLD, you have this option to check your cargo. So if I click on that, and it shows the top right, I have no cargo loaded. So let's actually load some cargo. So once again, I go to my main comms menu, F10 for other, F5 CTLD. I'm going to load some troops. I'm just going to load a standard group of troops. And now I have a standard group of troops loaded. It's about 10 guys that it loads up. The other thing, now I'll load the fob crate. So once again, go back to that menu, CTLD, vehicle/fob transport. And I'm going to hit F3, load, unload fob crate. Okay, and then you say it says fob crate loaded. Now for CTLD, I just want to make sure, see what cargo I have loaded. Back to F10 other, CTLD, and check cargo. 10 troops on board, 1 fob crate. And that's all you're going to do for that menu, is load troops and fob crates. Now for vehicles that we actually load in the cargo compartment, you're going to go ground crew, rearm refuel like you normally would on your aircraft. The C-130 for cargo is just these 3 compartments: C forward, C mid, and C aft. So for airdrops, if you want to practice your vehicle airdrops, you want to look through this. Any vehicle that has air in its name. So you can see at the top there's Vulcan M163 Air. That's an airdrop.
If it says skid, those are the ones that we do the low passes with.
Yep, that'll be the LAPS procedure. Those are the skid ones. And if it doesn't have an air or skid next to it, like, let me find one. It's transport M818. That's, you have to come to a full stop and actually land for that to unload that. Or this SA-13, the Strela, you have to make a full stop for that one. So if I want to, let's see, let's do the M818. And then if I'm going to practice my LAPS procedure, let's choose a skid. So let's do an EWR. Also, heaviest equipment, most forward. So your forward and mid section should be your heaviest pieces of equipment. Then your aft will always be your lightest piece of equipment. That's to make sure you don't offset the center of gravity. And then for this one, I'll do an airdrop. So let's just do a Humvee up here. After I have all those set, if you need to refuel, obviously that's all the same, nothing special there. The last portion on this rearm refuel screen you need to understand is the JTOW. These are the Joint Assisted Takeoff rockets, and you only have one selection there, JTOW. That's it. And you'll see that they're loaded. And this is for short fields only. So if you're going to go resupply a FOB or a FARP, you're going to need these. These are a necessity to take off from those areas because it'll be really short. And we'll just hang out, wait for the vehicles to be loaded up. You'll see them populate behind the aircraft.
Yeah, that's a big truck for that plane.
It is. Some of them are a bit ridiculous, but you know, it is what it is. I don't think I've ever personally seen a 5-ton truck put in a C-130, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, to tell you the truth, all I've seen is like big pallets, but I haven't seen vehicles of any type.
I've seen Humvees, plenty of Humvees put in C-130s, but that's about it. All right, after you're loaded up, you just go ahead and up the ramp. Now, I'm not going to actually show you the full airdrop because it's going to take a while for me to fly over there and do all that stuff. It's going to be kind of stuff you got to practice on your own, and I'll look for some other videos to show you guys that stuff.
Yeah, I've seen videos on YouTube about
that. Okay. Good. You understand all the bindings you need for that?
I did have it set up, but I just switched controllers, so I'm going to have to rebind them.
Okay. For airdropping, it's vital that you have these 4 bound, either aft, all, forward, and mid. So obviously, if you're doing an airdrop, if you have 3 vehicles that are an airdrop, you can just deploy all. It'll release all the cargo locks in the bay, and they'll all come flying out the back of the aircraft like they should. Now, if you have it set up like I do, where each section has something different, so I know that my aft section is the one with the Humvee to be airdropped, so you'll only want to release those locks. For LAPES, you also need all three of them bound, because it will only allow you to release one vehicle at a time. And until that vehicle has cleared the aircraft, it won't let you jettison another one.
Would you be able to do like 2 vehicles or 3 vehicles in one pass, or do you have to make multiple passes?
If you time it right, if you get it right on the money, you might be able to get 2. It all depends on your space. It's all up to the helicopters how much space they're going to give you to do all this. So you may have to make 3 passes on one go. You may have to make 2 passes, so you can get 2 off in one pass, and that third pass you drop the third one. It's totally situational. And then obviously, this is the one you need for the rockets. Trigger rocket assisted takeoff. There's a caveat with that one as well. This binding is to actually fire the rockets, but in the cockpit, if you have rockets loaded, you'll see a green light right here for rocket assisted takeoff. You have to flip this red cover switch, and then you have to arm them, and you'll get a red light for arm. That means they're ready to fire.
You press that button right there.
Like I said, you can either mouse click on it, or you can have a binding set for it. Me personally, I have a binding set for this, so I just arm the rockets, and then when I'm ready, I just hit the binding on my throttle, because the aircraft will accelerate pretty fast when you use it. So up to you. If you think you can look down quick enough, hit that, and then pop back up and pay attention to where you're going. It's totally up to you.
No, I got a bunch of buttons. Right, I got the combat and takeoff panels for Wing, and also got a Stream Deck. I try to use the mouse as least as possible.
No, that's fair. For waypoints, so you're gonna hit nav control or CTRL. This button right here. You can type in a name. So all these. So if I want to type in like our flex departure, I'll type in flex, and then I just hit the switch next to that. Flex populates there. You'll hit your latitude and longitude, so you just type those in. But depending on where you're at in the world, either north, south, east, west, so E or W. So if I was going to type one in, let me pull up my keyboards. Oh, the C-130 also comes with a bunch of these kneeboards too. It's full of useful information to use. Parameters for each one. So for LAPES, LAPES is only 10 to 20 feet off the ground, 50% flaps, and about 150, 160 knots indicated. Formation flying, if we ever fly a bunch of C-130s together, which is pretty cool. It does have NVGs, so if you need to use NVGs. For airdrops, it's 180 knots maximum, 180 knots maximum, 50 flaps, 50% flaps, and that's about it. Oh, sorry, LAPES is 130, 140 knots indicated.
Besides vehicles and cargo, we'll be doing troop drop.
I don't know yet. We haven't discussed that. We might. You can only carry 30 paratroopers at a time, so it might be something we do. We're still trying to get everybody kind of set up with this.
Just asking because it just looks
Yeah.
cool.
No, it is. It is definitely cool. All right. So I have my kneeboards here. I'll just show you flex real quick. Let me go to my other one. There we go. That's my latitude and then longitude. And then latitude. So like I said, the navigation system gives you distance and bearing. That's it. So if you want to reference it, it's always there to reference.
Would the bearing be on the HUD?
It doesn't show it on the HUD, but the HUD does show a bearing.
Okay.
So yeah, you have a course take. If you're using the autopilot, autopilot does work for heading, vertical speed set, altitude is your altitude select. So if you're climbing, you want to set your vertical speed, then hit set. and using your bug over here, you can set an altitude for it to hold at. It defaults at 10,000. If you wanted to use auto throttle, as soon as you click it, will engage whatever speed you're moving. So if I'm moving like 200 knots, it'll hold 200 knots, and I can use this to change that. Another important thing before you take off, after you're fully loaded and you're at the runway ready to take off, you're going to hit told. Then you're going to hit aircraft weight. You want external data, and it'll populate there. So cargo weight, 47,297, so pretty heavy.
What was the max takeoff weight again?
I think it's like 175,000 gross weight. So I could also unload some fuel for that. Now, after you've populated the cargo weight, you want to hit index, takeoff data over here, and then these numbers will auto-populate depending on how much flaps you're going to use. So obviously for takeoff, I'll probably use 50% flaps, and then your V rotate will change. So 123 knots for V rotate. So I have to hit 123 knots before I can rotate and the aircraft will climb. And the other cool thing, once you've populated this information, if you go back up to your HUD, you'll see on your speed indicator, so I have V1, which is obvious your speed to either abort or cancel your takeoff. And then I have VR, which is my rotate speed.
Oh, before your speed gets to V on, you have the option to abort.
Yeah, if you're not going to make it, before you hit your V1 speed, that's the time you should be aborting. And then the other thing, autopilot, make sure you have this switch flipped down here for pilot to engage for the autopilot to work. Let's see, last thing, when you get to your destination for CTLD for unloading, obviously you'll drop your ramp, go to your comms menu, F10, CTLD, depending on what you loaded, which is obviously going to be troops and fob crates, you'll just go to troop transport, unload, extract troops. And you'll see the troops all populate around the aircraft. Do you have combined arms as well?
Let me just clarify something. So we only use the F10 to unload when we actually land and unload the aircraft.
A-firm.
Copy.
And then have you purchased the combined arms module?
I don't believe so. Will I need it?
Not technically. It'll help with your. You'll usually have somebody else with you for training purposes. Don't worry about it. It's no big deal. But for unloading, when you come to a full stop, so your troop transport under CTLD, instead of hitting any of the load, you'll just hit unload, extract troops. Like I said, they'll populate around the aircraft. And then if you're carrying a fob crate, you'll just hit the same button that you hit for load fob crate, and the fob crate will populate behind the aircraft, about maybe 20, 30 feet behind the aircraft. It'll just be a big red crate. All right, and then discussing practice areas. At Creech Air Force Base, I'll send you the knee boards that I have made, and you can put them in your knee board file for the Hercules. For Creech, you'll be using 31 and 13 for practicing airdrops and for your LAPS procedure. So when you come in low, you'll do about 10-20 feet above the runway and make your drops on the runway. For
Question real quick
yeah,
before.
go ahead.
I've done this kind of operation before where we did drops on the airfield, but then we weren't, and like other aircraft weren't able to land on the airfield because there was like, a BMT sitting right there on the runway. Do we Do we just don't worry about that? Just go straight for the runway, or can we just do to the side of the runway?
You can do it to the side. Nobody uses 31 or 13 because it's so short. Everybody, if they divert to Creech, they'll either use 08 or 26.
Oh, that makes sense. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So when you're practicing, just try and aim for this northern area of Creech while you're practicing. Then if we come over farther west to Beatty Airport, this is where you'll make your full stops. This is your check right area. It's Beatty Airport. Actually, when I go back to Creech, one other thing I forgot to mention. So if you're not practicing airdrops or lapes, if you're going to do a full stop, unload your cargo, like you said, off the runway, like in this dirt patch or up here on the northern side of Creech. Just somewhere that's out of the way that isn't used by anybody else.
Copy.
And the very last one is over here in the east. This is Echo Bay. Echo Bay you'll use for practicing your short stops. It's the shortest runway on the map, and for practicing your rocket-assisted takeoff. I'll show you what it looks like. Like I said, it's a very short field. But the C-130 can definitely do it. You have reversers, so make sure you have those bound, so when you touch down, you can go full reverse and make a very short stop. I know it's a lot of information to take in all at once.
I hope you don't mind. This is why I recorded this.
No, I don't mind at all. And in fact, if you can send me the recording, I'll make sure to give it to other guys that have questions.
Not a problem. I'll send you the link.
I appreciate that. Any questions?
Actually, I do have a question about one of your videos that you posted. I think it was a cockpit one.
Yeah.
You pulled up an app in order to jot down like coordinates from a map. What app was that?
That's the Scratchpad. This right here, the DCS Scratchpad.
Is that what I should Google? DCS Scratchpad?
Yeah. If there's a bunch of guys that use it, it's really good if you're in VR. It's good if you're in track IR or VR, either or. But if I have to build an approach, or if I don't have, because the other important thing for the future to show you what it'll do, if I go to the CTLD menu and I want to know where a certain fob or FARP is at, I go to the radio beacons and then list beacons. It gives me exact coordinates. And I know, so, okay, say FARP Realm needs to be rearmed with, let's say, Hellfire missiles for the Apache when it comes out. Then I jot down those coordinates on my scratch pad, and then I can punch those in to my navigation.
Yeah, that app will be a lot easier to use than the actual knee board I have on my leg. You said DCS Scratchpad?
Yep, that's what it's called.
And I had one more question.
Yep, by all means, ask him.
Oh damn! It was just at the tip of my tongue. Oh, after this, I could jump in the server to practice, or?
Yep, as long as have you been cleared to fly solo?
Oh yeah, in the F-18.
That's fine. As long as you're cleared to fly solo in the aircraft that you're responsible for, you're free to fly the C-130.
And departure and arrival plates the same.
Yep. So we use the Flex West if you're heading out west. If you're going to Echo Bay, so like I said, I'll send you the zip files of all the knee boards that I've made for the C-130. Do you have a file set for the C-130 yet?
Oh yeah, the module. I can put those knee boards in with the.
You have. Here, let me show you real quick. So you know, like how you made a file for the F-18 under your DCS Open Bay, the knee boards, and you have like the Hornet right here.
Copy.
Yeah. Oh, let me minimize that. Okay. So for like I fly the F-16 and the A-10, so I have the 2 folders for them. You have to make one labeled Hercules for the C-130, and then that's where you put in all your personal made knee boards.
Yeah, I don't think I have any other questions.
Yep. So just, like I said, just like the other aircraft. So if I go to my save game folder and DCS Open Beta, and then knee boards, and just make a file labeled Hercules, and then throw your knee boards that I made in there. Might be good too. Like for me personally, if you need to if you need to contact another flight, or if you forget some of the frequencies, I have this knee board in there. I imagine they gave you guys all these knee boards as well. If I actually go, yep, there. So all the state knee boards that have been made, I have the communication, CTAF. This is an important one to have, so you make all your right calls. RWR symbology. The C-130 does have an RWR. It's very basic, but you can at least see all the RWR symbology on it. And then these ones, I forgot where somebody got these ones from, but they're kind of important to have. For each map, they have all the fields that you can land at. If they have a VHF or UHF, their coordinates, all that stuff, or an ILS system. Any other questions?
No, I think I'm good.
All right, man. Have fun practicing. Like I said, for you guys this week, my wedding anniversary is on the 4th, so we're going up to the mountains for the 3rd and 4th. So I'll make sure I'm available on Thursday evening, and then Sunday and Monday, the 5th and 6th, to do your guys' check rides.
Probably Sunday this time, the same time.
Okay, you got it.
Awesome. Congratulations on anniversary, by the way.
Yeah, it's been 10 years. I don't know how we made it, but we're making it.
Awesome. Yeah, me and my wife just celebrated our 11th, I believe.
Right on. It's not too often you hear many years on people's anniversaries. Usually pretty short nowadays.
Yeah, to tell you the truth, it's both hers and my second. So we're pretty happy how it's going.
Hey, that's all that counts.
All right, I'm gonna put this on Google Drive and send you the link.
Thank you very much. Like I said, good luck, and hopefully we can get you checked off.
I appreciate your help, man. Thanks.
Yep, talk to you later.